kind of approach it different. We sell on our values that we're all about the customer experience. We're reinventing contractor service. So our pitch isn't how do I do gutters, but how do you not do gutters so that we can do them for you? So your Saturday is free to do something else. So, how can we take that task off your list and make it so easy that you don't even have to ask, how do I do that? We do have educational material on our sites, and we certainly put a lot of effort into building that over the years, and people have appreciated it in different ways. But it's kind of niche. When we look at our traffic on our site, it's not where people are going to. They're mostly traveling to the pages that says repair or cleaning. I just want to get one of those two things. And honestly, most people are looking for repairs. They're like, I don't need an install. That's going to be too much money. I just need a repair. And so we try to do the education in the what we call the solution part of the process, where we send a person out there to look at what they're experiencing, and in that we educate them. So we can say, we want to give you a custom solution that actually solves your water issues, not necessarily put new gutters up. And so that helps them to understand this is an experience. It's not just I need new gutters. How would I do that? We want to talk to them from a point of, hey, listen, we're not your typical contractor where we're just going to drop a quote off on a napkin and say, see you in a week. And as soon as you sign that, I'll bring my truck out and install it. No, we want you to know what that experience is going to look like and be confident that we're going to be there to install it. And if you have any questions, be able to answer them on the spot, be able to educate you on how we're going to solve that problem when we send our solutionists out there. So it's not so much education on the how of gutters, but why should you go with us to use for your gutter solution.
Welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by NetSertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. NetSertive's Madeline Park talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
All right, welcome back everyone to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Today we've got Kevin Rollman from Brothers That Just Do Gutters. Kevin, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for the invite.
So before we get into everything gutter cleaning, talk to me about who you are, your background, and how did you get into the franchising industry?
Yeah, great question. I actually started out as a graphic design major. I worked for a coupon magazine with all things and did a lot of designing there and won some awards in design and ended up just transplanting to a new location and needed to start a new job. And I happened to know the guys that worked for the gutter company. At the time, we weren't franchised yet, but it was something they had envisioned even from the early days of them starting their gutter business. So that was kind of inspiring to me as far as like what I saw as my future, because I've always had a desire to be part of something that was bigger than, being a cog in a wheel, so to speak, a sitting in a seat and filling a job role. I want to be able to, as I like to say, use my talents to grow business opportunities. So that was really exciting to me. And I started out honestly in the field, just believing that there would be that potential to be there. And over time, I kept dropping little nuggets in my boss's mailbox to say, hey, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that, just to kind of encourage him to see the potential that there might be available in that position. And eventually he did. When they launched the franchise, they decided that I should be part of that process. So I was very happy to join in that capacity and be able to use the talents that I was able to harness from my experience, not just in coupon magazine editing, but I also was part of a digital team that did digital marketing, digital advertising. So I was able to tap into all those historical resources and really just build the brand for this company. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Brothers Gutters, but it originally started as Water Seam or Waterfall Gutter Solutions. They changed their name a few times throughout that time. By the time I came on board, that's when we were rebranding as Brothers Gutters. So I got to really be at the base of that, which was really exciting because growing up, you're going through college and you're going through your design classes. You always want to be the beginner of or the foundation of a brand. And that's
Mm-hmm.
so awesome to see my work out there and seeing it being displayed across the different territories and units. And that's also part of the inspiration for being a franchise is it becomes something that's bigger than you. And it's really
Mm-hmm.
awesome to be part of that.
Yeah, no, I completely get what you're saying. When I was at Threshold and we were building a brand, I kept saying, when I see this van wrap that we are working on and I just happen to drive by one in a random state, like that's going to be so cool. And all of the marketing people or non-marketing people, I should say, were just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I was like, you don't get it unless you get it. So I completely agree with you there. And I also think it's really fun that you started off in the field and really learning the craft and what it's going to take behind the scenes in order to make this brand work. Because I think for many brands, most marketing people have never been in the field. Maybe they've trained one day, but they really don't understand too in depth about what it takes. And, there's a big piece of, I think that how do I say this? There's not an emphasis on ensuring that everyone at a home office or a corporate office really can have that training, probably because they think, oh, they don't need it there in marketing. But when you're building something and you're selling something, there really can't be a delta between what you're presenting and what you're doing. So, I think that that's super important. My next question, Kevin, is what's been the hardest, or I don't want to say hardest, but biggest learning curve in terms of going from just, traditional marketing to franchise marketing? Because I know when I first started in franchise marketing, I literally bought every book on Amazon that's like, what is a franchise? I was like, I'm faking it to make it. I don't know what I'm doing. So what has that learning curve been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question because it certainly is a challenge. And the challenge is, when you're doing traditional marketing, a lot of times you're doing B2B, B2C stuff. You're looking to influence an audience with an identity and an image. You're building up a brand culture, storyline. And so you're learning about the personas of who's buying from you. And you still do the same thing when you become franchise advertising. You're trying to reach potential buyers of your franchise. But the difference is it's much more nurturing to the relationships. You have to build a much longer process to that selling point because it's a bigger sale. And so B2B sales are very, very different than B2C. And I wouldn't say this is necessarily B2B. It's kind of a hybrid. You're trying to sell to a potential buyer, but in a way it feels a lot like a B2B sale where you're trying to nurture that relationship on a big contract that they're going to be investing a great portion of their savings and their finances and their life into this new change into a business. So there's a lot of work that goes into trying to cultivate first party data, as I like to say.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to build that pipeline so you can hopefully influence those people. The biggest challenge is, in my opinion, is you're going to run across a lot of broker networks who have done a lot of good work as far as building those relationships. And they've cultivated so much trust in their processes that oftentimes you have to be a little above their game to be able to bring that person and influence that person to see the value in your business. Now, for us, Gutters aren't exactly a glamorous franchise. Many people aren't going, oh, Gutters is what I dreamed to do. So telling our story becomes very crucial. Having people come visit the location was an absolute game changer for us, because unless they come and see the culture, see the impact that we're having, you're not going to be influenced by any story, whether it's no matter how we tell that story, is not as great as the experience that you can get from actually seeing things in action and coming to visit us. So we put that as part of our process early on, and we were
Mm-hmm.
able to really use that as a great way to influence people to consider going with us. And we've had certainly some great franchisees who joined us in those early days of telling that story, and they're still with us and they love our brand. And that's what's so cool. Like, you get to really build that rapport, and that sticks with you through the whole life of their business. And so that they end up being your best fans, or they become your raving fans of your
Mm-hmm.
franchise, and you can use them to tell stories to others who come along. And that's what's really cool about that process.
Yeah, and I like that you kind of brought to light that point about the brokers, because I have never really heard it stated like that, but it's very true because I respect and appreciate and work with brokers many times over in the industry, but it is true that whether you're using them or you're not, you still have to outmarket them to get the people that, not necessarily the people that are using brokers no matter what, but it's kind of a zero sum game where we want everyone to have a lead. We want everyone to come to the brand, but at the same time, what are those cost per acquisitions? What does our brand awareness look like? So, it is a good point where it's a hybrid of B2B and B2C, because I tell people all the time, we're not selling diapers over here, right? Where people are like, I'll buy a pack if it doesn't work out, fine. We're buying people's life savings.
Right.
That's what we're marketing. And there is a different level of approaching it like a business, but also having that nurturing human relationship that you would with a consumer. So my next question, Kevin, and you mentioned going through a rebrand a couple times. You're the brothers that just do gutters. Now, do you truly just do gutters? And if not, is that a concern in terms of marketing? Because I own a bunch of home services, one which is Men in Kilts, which is gutter cleaning, window, all of that. And we had a very difficult time trying to figure out, do we put gutter in the name? Do we put window in the name? We settled on exterior home cleaning. But even that, I think a lot of times people are like, what? Like, you do what? You house wash? So, I think that there's something to be said for having gutter in the name, but is there a concern that it's you just do them?
No, actually, that's a great question, because we actually go over that. I go over that story when people come to our Meet the Team Day, and we bring everybody in house to give them that experience. And I say,
Mm-hmm.
what I love so much about our name, and we hear this all the time. People will just randomly say, I love that name. And I think why they love it is, even when I was in Clipper magazine and doing coupon advertising, you saw a lot of people put their picture of themselves in their ads to say,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the owner. And what that does is that gives that family feel. And I used to think as a designer that was kind of cheap and not a good sell. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm on the other side of that, I understand the impact of saying we're a family company. We're not
Mm-hmm.
just a fly-by-night operation, and especially in contracting, that's important. So having brothers as part of our name gives that family feel. And then saying that we just do gutters adds that sense of, oh, you guys are professionals in this space. I was going to hire my roofer to do it. I was going to hire my window guy, but I trust you guys more because this is all you do. And when that's what we hear in our feedback from all of our customers too, is they love that we just do gutters, because it gives them a sense of confidence that they otherwise don't have if they have another contractor doing that for them, because they're like, how much do they care? I mean, it's a portion of what they're making against windows, or a portion against what they're doing for roofing. And they just sell it as an add-on. Do they really care? So for us, it's absolutely crucial to our business name, because it's one of the biggest reasons people buy from us is because they feel more confident that we are
Mm-hmm.
the experts in that space.
And is there any potential to expand outside of gutters, or are you guys just really like, nope, this is what we're doing, we will grow the gutter business until the cows come home?
That's a great question. There's a lot to be done in just gutters. I mean, there's companies out there that I'm not going to mention their name here, but they just run on doing guard installs, and they make
Mm-hmm.
quite a pretty penny off of that particular service. So there is a lot of depth as far as what we can do in that space. However,
Mm-hmm.
there's other things related to gutters. We do fascia replacement, because that's part of your gutter. You have to put that up if it's rotted out, or it's not going to hold the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we do soffits, and we'll do underground drain cleaning, underground services to the drains as well. So gutters kind of get a lot of really start to seep into other things because your gutter system is affected by the things that it attaches to in your home and obviously how you're going to drain that water. You could drain it into a barrel. There's plenty of additional services that come with that gutter. So although it's like just gutters, it's kind of gutters and the accessories and the additional services that are related to gutters. And sometimes we struggle with finding out where is that line. We're not going to be necessarily installing your roof for you, but that's part of the consideration because you don't want to do your gutters before your roof. You want to do your roof first. So all of that it's all interlocked. And so some people offer more services. Some people just stick with the gutter services because they're already overwhelmed with cleanings and installs and repairs. And so it's also beneficial from a standpoint of advertising to our customers because a lot of people, they don't like a lot of choices. So it's nice when you go to our website and you see 3 choices: gutter install, repair, or cleaning. It makes it easier to just complete that purchase, complete that decision. You're not trying to decide if you need all the other stuff. And so that's a great way to keep things at a very high converting value for our customers because they don't get lost in, I don't know, do I need fascia replacement? Do I need a fascia wrap? Do I need the downspout going underground? I don't know. And then people get kind of paralysis by analysis, and next thing you know, they're not buying from you. So we do stick to the core tenets when we advertise to our customers. Is just we want to make sure that's gutter repair, gutter cleaning, and I forget the third one. Putting new gutters on your house, I think is the solution, and it helps people to really feel guided through that process rather than overwhelmed by the options that we could offer them.
Yeah, no, I think that's such a good point. And I was going to say that too, analysis paralysis, where a lot of times if you have so many options, even if best case scenario, the consumer knows all about all of that. I always, I kind of coach on this too. I was like, if you look at it and it looks hard, like a lot of reading, like it's going to take time, people are going to assume it is hard and it's expensive. And they're going to just be like, I can't. If you're going to a website, to your point, and it's like repair, cleaning, new, I'd be like, simple. I got this. This makes sense, So I really appreciate that. And to that point, how much of your marketing strategy is educating the consumer? Because I'm a homeowner. I don't know. I even own a gutter cleaning business. I don't know shit about gutters. Like if I look at my gutter, I'll be like, I don't know, good, bad. So, how much of that, a lot of it, it's not only just, brand awareness, but educating the consumer on what they have to do for their maintenance. Because I think a lot of brands don't have to deal with this. Like quick service restaurants, I don't need to tell you why you need to eat. I just need to show you how good our food is. Right. Where for home services, a lot of times it's I have to show you how good we are and why you need it. So how does that play into your strategy?
Yeah, that's another great question. I mean, we try to stay out of the education game because honestly, most people are installing gutters once in their life. And a lot of them approach it like, I know what I'm doing. And almost like if you educate them, they feel like you're treating them as dumb because like, how hard can gutters be? It's simple.
Right.
Yeah,
I like that.
To put gutters on my home. So we kind of approach it different. We sell on our values that we're all about the customer experience. We're reinventing contractor service. So our pitch isn't how do I do gutters, but how do you not do gutters so that we can do them for you? So your Saturday is free to do something else. So, how can we take that task off your list and make it so easy that you don't even have to ask, how do I do that? We do have educational material on our sites, and we certainly put a lot of effort into building that over the years, and people have appreciated it in different ways. But it's kind of niche. When we look at our traffic on our site, it's not where people are going to. They're mostly traveling to the pages that says repair or cleaning. I just want to get one of those 2 things. And honestly, most people are looking for repairs. They're like, I don't need an install. That's going to be too much money. I just need a repair. And so we try to do the education in the, what we call the solution part of the process, where we send a person out there to look at what they're experiencing. And in that, we educate them. So we can say, we want to give you a custom solution that actually solves your water issues, not necessarily put new gutters up. And so that helps them to understand this is an experience. It's not just I need new gutters. How would I do that? We want to talk to them from a point of, hey, listen, we're not your typical contractor where we're just going to drop a quote off on a napkin and say, see you in a week. And as soon as you sign that, I'll bring my truck out and install it. No, we want you to know what that experience is going to look like and be confident that we're going to be there to install it. And if you have any questions, be able to answer them on the spot, be able to educate you on how we're going to solve that problem when we send our solutionists out there. So it's not so much education on the how of gutters, but why should you go with us to use for your gutter solution?
I like that. And it's such a good point of like, let's not spend a lot of these precious touch points explaining to you, you know, kind of why you need to do this, how you do it, how it needs to be done. Like, and to your point, most people don't care. They're just like, I need to get it clean and I don't want to do it. So why, you know, and, you know, why use you guys? Why use anyone at all? And, you know, I think that that's a really very direct play that I think maybe a lot of brands don't realize the value. And I think a lot of them assume that you really need to give the consumer all of the information. And then they would just assume, oh, I trust this person, I'll go with them. But that's very much elongating the sales process to do that. You know, so switching a little bit more to FranDev, how many locations do you guys have now?
We have somewhere around 115. We've launched 110 of them. So there's some still onboarding with us. And obviously we're still adding more to that daily. So it's hard to keep tab on, on where we're at. But yeah, we're growing. We're at about 115 across the US.
And what are your goals for, you know, 2024 or 2025? I can't believe I just said 2024.
I know, right? 2024, we're looking to actually sell out our franchises across the US.
Wow.
We're thinking that's going to be possible just because we've really, I mean, we kind of hit a peak and now we're getting back into the motion of selling. And I think what we're seeing in the heating up, there's a good sense that we might end up closing out all our markets in 2024 and be able to start building on that network in 2025 to grow our profits instead of growing the franchise that we bring on, the units. So we can start growing the profits in 2025.
So I know a lot of brands are listening here going, Kevin, what in the actual F? Like, how do you sell out? Like, that is the dream. So what are you guys using right now for leads? Is it all organic? Is it an FSO? Are you brokers? Are you all across the board? Because I think a lot of people are sitting back going, wow, like if that's an attainable goal, like they're doing something right.
Yeah, no, that's a great question because certainly we struggled with that for years. We actually tried selling on our own and just were not having any success. We teamed up with a couple brokers, but we weren't as I like to say, we don't have a sex appeal to our name. And so
we're not, gutters are not the sexiest. I agree with you.
So it was hard because unless you're going to sit there and pitch the story, it's hard to get people to be convinced that doing gutters is a profitable business model for them. So we did team up with an FSO because they had all the tools that we needed in a toolbox to be able to connect with people to tell our story and be able to really get the point across of how we are changing people's lives. We're not, we do gutters, but it's gutters to change your life. So we needed to tell the story and they had the right toolbox for that. So we teamed up with an FSO to help us get that across the line.
And do you want to say the FSO you're using?
Yeah, we're using Fastlane. We teamed up with Fastlane to.
Yeah, they're great over there. So for a lot of brands who haven't used an FSO, can you kind of just briefly walk me through how that works? So are you paying them a fee and then also say they get one of their leads comes from a broker and then you pay both of those fees? Is it just a flat fee? How does that work? Because I think a lot of people are now realizing the benefits of using FSOs, but not quite understanding the pricing structure there.
Absolutely. I'd be glad to explain that. So we do have a flat fee. We pay Fastlane to bring us those leads and to help us get those in our funnel and nurture them through that process. And then we also have to pay the brokers a portion of the franchise agreement fee, the purchase of the unit. And that changes depending on how many units they purchase. So what our Fastlane did for us is they really helped us to align our selling process with what brokers want to see. And that was a huge advantage. So we could determine what a unit is, how many units do we want to sell, how do we get this so that it's favorable to sell to a potential buyer? Because to be honest, we were just building our units as we met with people. We didn't understand how unit counts worked. We didn't understand the size of units, how you figure that out. So that was a huge break for us, because we were struggling to understand, how do I even sell this to a potential franchisee? How do we build the territory units? So having them come alongside us, like I said, they had all the toolkit to really help guide us through that process, which I think was the biggest benefit to us as far as meeting what people are looking for, and how, like I said, brokers have done a great job of helping educate the audience out there, people who are buying franchises. And so people come looking for that framework when they come to you. And having that framework is absolutely crucial in being able to align with their expectations when they buy from a franchise. I need to know, how many units are you selling me? Not what is the size of my territory necessarily. What are the demographics? Why are they important? All those things are essential to really connecting with your buyer, who's most likely has met with a broker at some point in their journey. I doubt they ever just come to you without having met with a broker at some point. So it's really good to be aligned to that sense of what they're shopping for.
And I appreciate you kind of pulling back the curtain on this, because also you're using an FSO, but you're not using it irresponsibly. And I say that in a respective manner, in terms of, sometimes people sign on with FSOs and they are so successful that they bring on everyone, and all of a sudden they go from 0 to 300 and then they drown because they grew too fast. Clearly that is not the case with you guys, just based on your numbers and obviously just literally talking to you. So in doing this, a big portion of why this works is that you're bringing on the right people, not just anyone, but the right people. And has there ever been a concern with the FSO that they're just selling to get a close? Because with most internal franchise sales teams, those franchise development people have to live with the coworkers that they then pass on this franchisee to. So there is a little bit more at stake, I would say, in terms of culture. Whereas an FSO, once they sign, for the most part, they're pretty much on to the next. So was that ever a concern there? Or is it really just making sure that the partnership is a right fit in terms of culture and transparency?
That's a great question. I mean, that's a delicate balance. I've seen people, even without FSOs, kind of not build that rapport, that culture.
True.
I think the difference is we stay in touch with we get a dedicated broker to work with, our dedicated person at Fastlane. We're not working with whoever. So we get to build that rapport with them. They sit through our presentation of who we are. They actually built a pitch deck off of what we've done. So they get to learn who we are inside and out. So by the time they're going out there and meeting with them, we're confident that they can represent our brand as who we are. They become very quintessential in how telling our story to the person that they're meeting with. And honestly, the last thing they do is bring them to the Meet the Team Day. And the feedback we get from our potential buyers is, it's everything they had been told. So that's confirmation that they can absolutely represent who we are, and they're doing a great job at that. I think no matter who you have doing internal or even external broker, you're never knowing with 100% certainty how your brand will align with that person. It's still an experience that has to be a journey, as I like to say, that has to be lived to be really know. I mean, I think we can do the best job we want to do trying to sell the entirety of the expectations, but everybody has something fixed in their mind of their expectation that ends up having to be reworked or having to be managed, as I like to say. Managing expectations is part of every part of our business we do, whether it's installing gutters for customers on their home or whether it's bringing somebody into the brand. We have to really do a good job of managing those expectations Otherwise, even the best broker is not going to be able to get you to align with the person that you bring on.
That is such a good point. Kevin, thank you so much for sharing all that. And we're coming up on time. I was like, oh, Kevin, this will take like 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, I could talk to this guy for an hour. So last two questions. If you had a piece of advice to give to a franchisee, what would that be? And if you had a piece of advice to give to a franchisor, what would that be? But for you, my caveat is only marketing advice. Okay. So yeah, because usually I'm just like, give me anything, but you are so sharp on this franchise marketing that make it marketing advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say for a franchisee, be an entrepreneurial minded person. You got to really get out there and say, how can I connect with my customers in my area, especially for home services? You're trying to connect with not just customers, but other businesses you're going to run into. We work with a lot of roofers, and they're going to become your best friends when you join us because they don't want to do gutters, believe it or not. They'd like for someone to take that over for them. A lot of times you'll meet painters and they don't do gutters either. So they'd like someone to refer. So it's huge as far as like networking and growing your community. We always say growing your community is what builds the confidence in buyers shopping you. When they see your ad and wherever you're putting that advertisement, they want to feel confident that you're going to deliver on the promises or expectations that they have. So certainly do your due diligence in building your presence in your community. We do a lot of different things. We do events that we go to. We will do a lot of community events. Even if they're not home show events, we'll go to them because it's just another way to build confidence in the community, to connect with people, to get our name out there and let people know we're not just a business, we're a community partner as well. So we have people do all kinds of things, join BNI, join chambers, get involved in your community and network. And I forget, the second part was for marketing advice on franchisor. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, I would say the best advice for a franchisor is if you can team with an FSO, in my opinion, it's worth its weight in gold. Just being able to have their toolkit, to be able to have them help you set your business up for sales. You're going to pay, you could pay a consultant to do that, but why would you when an FSO has those capabilities to help you out with that? And in my opinion, that's just the best way to go. And from our own experience, because we've grown so much over a short time, I can say it's been the success to our recipe. And I would say we kind of were stabbing at it in the dark, not just guessing how to build our business to sell. But when you meet with the FSO, it clears everything up. It really helps you to find out what are people out there who are shopping looking for. How are they buying these things? What are the good things you want to advertise about your business to actually get people interested in you, especially if you're a gutter business who does not have a sex appeal to your name? How do you tell that story so people are interested in buying from your brand or buying your brand and representing it?
I love that. And we've mentioned a couple times that we don't have sex appeal, but I think that flannel's pretty sexy, Kevin. I'm going to say it. All right, Kevin. Well, thank you so much for joining the Art of Franchise Marketing. And we look forward to watching you and brothers that just do gutters grow.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to come on.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by NetCertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netcertive.com.